Welcome back, everyone. So just moments ago, Governor Kevin Stitt signed an abortion bill into law that nearly all-out bans abortions here in our state.
And earlier this morning, I talked with a lawmaker who was one of the co-authors of this bill to discuss it. And speaking of Senate Bill 612, today we have one of the bill's authors, Senator Nathan Dahm, here with us. Senator Dahm, welcome in. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me with you.
Sure, of course. So first, just let's start with an overview here of exactly what Senate Bill 612 says and what it does. Give us an overview here.
So Senate Bill 612 is called the Life at Conception Act. We worked with Students for Life, a group of young college-age students that are a part of the pro-life generation. And we introduced this bill, and the governor's going to be signing it. But what it does actually is it prohibits abortion from conception, and the abortionist would face a felony conviction with up to 10 years in prison, up to $100,000 fine. And the one exception in the bill is for the life of the mother, to still be able to protect that mother's life. But other than that, it is from conception. So it is the strongest pro-life bill in the country right now.
And remind me again, the mother itself or the person who is seeking an abortion, are they liable for any fines here?
No, the felony conviction, the criminal action is on the abortionist. So they would be the one that would face the felony, but not on the mother.
Okay. So let's talk about why this all came to be. Why did you and your co-authors and the state legislature feel that now was the time to bring this? What prompted this to be a necessity for you all this session?
Well, I've always believed that government has a responsibility to protect life. Our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, says that we're endowed by our Creator with certain rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's enshrined in our U.S. and Oklahoma constitutions as well, the right to life. And so I've always been fighting to protect life, especially innocent life, the lives of the unborn. I think that's paramount, that we're supposed to be protecting that. But this is also good timing in that it looks like the Supreme Court is going to be making a decision here in the next few months regarding the old and outdated Roe opinion, and possibly either fully overturning that or potentially just sending it back to the states to handle it. So we will be in a prime position either way to restate here in Oklahoma that we believe life begins at conception, and government has a responsibility to protect that innocent life.
Now, you did say before, the only exception laid out in this bill is to save the life of the mother, to protect that for health reasons, not for rape or incest, though. So what was the thought process in not allowing exceptions for rape or incest?
Correct. The only exception is for the life of the mother. With rape and incest, those horrific crimes don't mean that there should be another horrific crime. Two rights don't make a wrong. And so we shouldn't be punishing that innocent child with the loss of their life because of the actions of others. So that's why those exceptions were not included in the bill, but only the life of the mother, because that is still about protecting the life of the woman. And so that's the only exception that has been included in this bill.
So as with anything, as with any piece of legislation, for the most part, of course, there are criticisms no matter what. So we do have a statement here from House Democratic leader Representative Emily Virgin, said in a statement, as elected leaders, our focus should be on expanding access to health care, protecting public education, addressing infrastructure needs. But instead, Republicans are more concerned with relitigating Supreme Court decisions from the state legislature. These bills hurt people, waste taxpayer resources, and get us no closer to our shared goal of a better tomorrow. Your response?
She doesn't understand the fundamental reason for government. Government was created in these United States. When the Declaration was created, it says that governments are created to secure our rights. That is the primary focus of government, should be about protecting our rights, whether that's the right to life, the right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion. That is the primary focus of government. That's what we should be about. All those other things are secondary, and there are certainly things we can be working on. But if we fail to protect people's rights, if we fail to protect the right to life, then we have failed as elected officials in our responsibility. And so I hope that she learns what her actual responsibilities and her purpose for being in government is, and that should be about protecting life.
We know Senate Bill 612, of course, is not the only bill dealing with abortion making their way through our Capitol right now. Any other bills that our viewers should be keeping a close eye on that are maybe moving quickly throughout the Capitol?
Yes, there was one other House bill that passed the House and is in the full Senate now. Actually, I'm the Senate author on that. It passed our Senate committee yesterday, so it's going to have one more vote before the full Senate to get on to the governor. It is House Bill 4327. And what that would do is similar to what Texas has done with their civil option, civil litigation to prohibit abortions that was not struck down by the courts. So it has effectively been upheld. And so we have that working its way through the Senate right now. And, people have asked me, well, with such a strong bill, with Senate Bill 612, why we would also do this? Because Senate Bill 612 deals with the criminal side, with the felony conviction. House Bill 4327 deals with the civil side of having potential civil punishments through that as well. So we're looking at every means possible to be able to protect life in Oklahoma, and I am proud to stand up for the unborn.
Okay, Senator Nathan Dahm, busy times at the Capitol right now. Thanks so much for taking some time to talk with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me this morning. God bless y'all.
Okay, everyone, we're back after this break. Stick around.